What's going on? Got another yap sesh for you. This one would kind of be more on like my travel journey over the past 10 years that kind of gave me the perspectives that I have now about what I see and kind of what I want to, what I'm advocating for in the future, what I'm seeing manifest out in the world. Because it definitely, like I was saying, gave me the perspective that I have now about what is needed, and not only where I'm at now, but it's all over the place. But I'm growing up in the family. We did a couple of trips a year. My family, we definitely try to go to different places and try different things and see as much as the world as possible. And I appreciate that one thing about my mom, that she was definitely not afraid to try new things. That was something that was a huge characteristic of her that I definitely took with me. And then my sister, she definitely took that as well. But just the whole just going out and getting outside your comfort zone, that was something that she definitely did. We did a lot of that, have family vacations. Like I said, at least one a year. We went to, most of the time it was with places that we knew people at. We went to like Myrtle Beach. Had a couple of family reunions in Atlanta, Las Vegas, but I was like maybe 10 or 11 when that happened, so I didn't get to have the full Vegas experience. I went to the Niagara Falls. Probably a few other like smaller places. Like we went to like Amish country for a couple of times. That was pretty cool. We definitely went around. There's other places that I'm blanking on, but we definitely made sure that we saw a decent amount of the country outside of this Cleveland. And I wanted to keep that going. So I think like 10 years from this time, took a trip to Seattle. Yeah, it was like a 3-4 day trip. Heard good things about Seattle. I always was a huge fan of it. I was a big Supersonics fan. I was definitely disappointed when they left, but heard nothing but good things about Seattle, so I wanted to check it out. And I definitely wasn't disappointed. Everything happens for a reason, and I went there first for a reason because there's a lot of similarities between Seattle and Cleveland, but one thing that I definitely liked about it is that the city had a pulse to it. You know what I'm saying? It definitely was living. People were definitely there doing things. Things were happening every single day. There was always something going on. And I like that about it. You know what I'm saying? It definitely had a very strong sense of community there, and the people seemed to kind of know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? I stayed at a hostel by the fish market. Hopefully it's still there. That was a pretty cool place. I think hostels are pretty necessary and dope because you meet people from all over the world. And you just, in a place, you're just trying to find a place to sleep. It's pretty cheap. And they had a lot of like community events. They definitely try to get the people there to kind of talk to each other and definitely try to don't have people be so insular and isolated. They definitely want people to come together and just chill out. You know what I'm saying? But one of the main things that I saw there was the sense of community. I wasn't downtown Seattle, so I didn't see all of Seattle that I wanted to see. I wanted to see North Seattle. I definitely heard good things about North Seattle, how it's a little bit more of what it used to be, because where I was downtown, you can definitely see the gentrification that was going on down there, where not only was it like the standard of living there was insane. You know what I'm saying? It was absolutely insane. The prices for houses around that area, downtown, a little bit north and east and all that, were like in the millions. You know what I'm saying? Like 3, 4, 5 times more than the same size house in Cleveland or in most other places. But because Amazon, Starbucks, all the big tech companies, it's definitely, I'm not sure if it is now, but at that time it was a destination city. it definitely brought the price up for everything to where it was just pretty much unaffordable for the vast majority of people to stay there. And you saw that because the homeless population there was insane. I've never seen that anything like that in my entire life. You know what I'm saying? I knew there was homeless around. I never knew that was a problem here in the United States, but in Seattle, yeah, they were everywhere. It was completely normalized, you know. And it was like a culture shock to me that they were just everywhere you can look. They were around, especially in the oldest part of Seattle. I forgot the name of that place, but there were just tents everywhere. There's people. There's a whole sidewalk is filled with tents. You know, there's just people everywhere, every single where. And it was you know, it was an issue. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, the people they know about it. They're doing the best they can to kind of rectify it. But that was kind of one of the main points I took from Seattle was that they definitely have a gentrification problem. You know, it was definitely America in a nutshell. You know, everything goes to the highest bidder. You know, it's not really any kind of checks and balances to keep that. There are some, but not a whole lot to keep stuff like that from happening. So that was one of the things that I took. But I definitely appreciated the sense of community. You know, I remember one of the last days I was there, I found this one bar called the White Horse Trading Company. I'm not sure if it's still there or not. Hopefully it is. Little, out the way, hard to find, down some back street bar that I just stumbled upon looking for a place. 'Cause it was hard to find like neighborhood bars downtown. Everything was all like commercialized and everything. It was hard to even find places that was open past 10 or 11 o'clock. That was like very, very strange to me. Like I said, I'm not from over there. And I wish I would have went further north. That's for another trip, I guess. But while I was there, I met this dude. We'll call him Sean. I forgot his name. He was a good dude, a short, really, really short dude. But he was definitely hammered. And started a conversation with me, telling me how what Seattle used to be and how hard it was for him and people who grew up there to kind of stay there, and live there, and it wasn't what it used to be, and how things are changing. And I definitely felt that. I can see the remnants of what Seattle used to be, but I can also like see the change of what was going on over there. Like I said, it was because of all the big businesses that was happening over there, and all the people that was coming in there and just kind of displacing all these people. And it probably was happening during that time, maybe a few years before the tech bubble and all that stuff, in the early 2000s. It was very, very evident, and obviously being so close to California and in Vancouver, Portland, it's kind of in like a really cool little, I guess, part of the West Coast. So you're definitely going to attract a lot of those people, and there's a lot of opportunity over there in Seattle. So I get it. There's still like a huge like music scene, and there are still artists who are just everywhere over there. You can definitely tell like they were still the people who built the foundation of that city was artists, and like I just felt the connection there truly. And the people there were just so cool. They were so chill. Everyone there just had a different vibe to them. You know what I'm saying? There was not a whole lot of miserable people over there in Seattle. A lot of people were just cool. They were for the most part very helpful. Very, very glass half full. They were just people who were just very content in life over there. And that was a very, very big thing for me to see, especially I was like 22, 23 at the time. It was cool to see that and to see that was like a thing, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not a thing. That wasn't a thing in in Cleveland. It definitely wasn't something that I saw growing up, that optimism. that glass half fullness. So seeing that in Seattle and seeing that's because so many of the people there are kind of running things, and it's not so much, even though obviously the corporations are there, whatever. The foundation is still ran by the people. That was very good to see. But just talking to him and talking to other people that I could while I was there, doing a couple of bar crawls with the people from the hostel. It was just that type of energy, that type of vibe, which is everywhere, but it was just like second nature to those people. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't anything. They weren't doing anything crazy. They were doing what they needed to do, what they were supposed to do. It was cool to see. So Seattle was a dope, dope time. It was, like I said, the music scene was everywhere. There was always something going on. I didn't fully take advantage of it because that was like the first time in my adulthood that I went out, without my family. So it was like I just kind of just taking it slow, not doing too much, and just kind of just taking it day by day. But pretty much everywhere I went, I've been to Montreal, Chicago, Charlotte, Barcelona. I've been all over the Maui before the wildfires. I've been to a lot of places, trying just to not only find what I need and get the information that I need to do what I need to do, and also become the person that I need to become. It was very cathartic to see things done differently. You know what I'm saying? And seeing how what's going on in my environment, at least the environment that I grew up in, was very unique to it. You know what I'm saying? That we're all kind of dealing with Cleveland shit. We're not really dealing with things that happen outside of here. Obviously you got other Midwest places like Detroit and Milwaukee and all that. Even Detroit, I've been in Detroit as well. And they seem to be a little bit more optimistic than a lot of people here in Cleveland, honestly. But it's just very, very cathartic, and just seeing, like when I went to Barcelona, that was like probably like the best 10 days of my life. Just seeing a beautiful city with beautiful people, just being in the moment. Obviously, there's more parts to Barcelona and Spain. They have their own, political and social issues going on. That's Spanish and Europe and all that fun stuff. But yeah, there's just, when I was over there, just having so many people being so open and welcome to me. I went to this one bar called Bar 7, I believe it was called. Hopefully that was there too. That was right before COVID, like in 2019. I went there and I met this French dude, this black French dude. I forgot his name. I guess I'm terrible with names. We'll call him. We'll not give him a name. Hopefully our paths will cross again, and I will be reminded of who this dude is. I'll never forget who he is. But I went there. This, once again, trying to find a cool little neighborhood bar. That's the place that I want to go to kind of meet the people who kind of set the foundation. You know what I'm saying? The people who really are out here doing the good work. And I normally do find those places wherever I go. Birds of a feather flock together, as they say. But I went there, and he was like super, I don't even know the word, to accommodating. You know what I'm saying? He just kept putting me up on game. Had to kind of put his fears to rest. He had a lot of fears about America and how black people are treated, because he sees what's going on in the media with the deaths and the police and all that. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of, there's some truth to it, obviously, but it's a little overblown if you really look at what's going on. A lot of our problems are self-inflicted, and it's a lot of it's a different story. I talked about a little bit before about how people are just trying to get us to be the best ever, and through that we had to go through a lot of chaos. But he was such a good dude. He, like I said, he introduced me to a lot of people. And a lot of people that he introduced me to, they were putting me up on game. They're telling me where to go, where not to go, who to talk to, who not to talk to, how things go, how relationships go. I remember this one dude was telling me, You know how like the women there, they want romance, they want relationships, they don't want to hook up. So don't look for that, and stay away from all these like weird ass nightclubs. Stay away from all these hard drugs. Don't come here, trying to party. You'll party hard and you'll crash hard. Another dude was telling me, where all the small little gangs. Apparently, there's like gangs of Moroccan children, kind of robbing people, which makes sense. I ain't gonna knock them for it. I kind of did want to go to Morocco since it was so close. So, and I want to go to Italy as well when I was there. But patience. Take it one day at a time. Always another opportunity. But they were telling me about that and telling me about how you gotta talk to the embassy and get things going. And I remember the bartender telling me like you should come to Barcelona. This is the best time to come. You know what I'm saying? And I truly did. I always kind of went from I kind of always followed that saying. Don't chase, attract. Because I knew in order to make Cleveland the city that it needs to be, in my role in that, I needed to go outside of Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it you can't make that change from the inside, especially when you know the history of it. You can't really escape it. You're kind of stuck with that. So I try to get as much history from outside of Cleveland as possible. I still do that every single day. People don't really understand it, but I don't get a whole lot of my thoughts, my inspirations from the people from Cleveland or from the United States, because it's very self-serving, and we just kind of are spinning our wheels. We're gonna have to go outside of the U.S. like we were supposed to, and bring that best stuff here. That was like the original goal of this country that we kind of lost our way in that. But that was kind of my thing. I thought, in my 20s that I had to leave here to go other places to get the experiences and the knowledge that I needed to come back and make the changes that I needed to do. And I thought I was doing all the right things. I wasn't chasing any of those places. All the places I just mentioned, I did not chase those. They were the ones that were attracted to me. They were the opportunities that were put in my lap. So I thought these were the places that I was supposed to go. And every single time I try to leave, a literal natural disaster happened. Like I said, the wildfires in Maui, and it literally happened in the place that I was going to be staying, the house that I was going to be staying at. Me and my ex, that got caught on fire. I tried to go to Barcelona. COVID happened. I tried to go to, I made an attempt to go to Charlotte, but that fell through. Every time I tried to leave, something happened, because I already got what I needed when I was there. You know what I'm saying? I got everything I needed. I was there for the right amount of time. I met the people that I needed to meet. I did the things I needed to do. Even when I was in Montreal a couple of times, I did what I needed to do. Even though every single time there was always people kind of tempting me to go over there, and I always wanted to. I want to be surrounded by people who aren't miserable. That is a rare thing, not only in this city, but in this world. There's so many people who are just not happy with themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's the culture that they grew up in. The conformity, the kind of the nail that sticks out gets the hammer type shit. It's everywhere, and it's a test at the end of the day to see if you are truly about this shit or not. The people who really are, or who understand what the mission is and kind of understand what the assignment is, are going to do it regardless. We're not going to listen to what people say. We're not going to listen to the noise. We're going to do what's needed for not only ourselves but the people around us. And I'm not going to allow those people to kind of knock me off my block and take me off my path. So I definitely appreciate those people, being around those people. They gave me so much optimism and hope that this is something that is like a phase. You know what I'm saying? Like Cleveland truly can become one of the greatest cities on the planet. We just gotta really stick to the plan and kind of see what this is, not what we want it to be. With so many people who think they run things in the city are just so miserable. You know what I'm saying? It's so evident what's going on. And I'm like, and the reason why I do this, because I see what this could be. I see what this truly could be. And I see how, I've been to bars where the bartenders were actually very, very helpful and useful, and not trying to make you miserable, not trying to bring you down to their level. Like they're putting you up on game. They tell you to go here, do this, do that. And the bartenders that I met here when I was doing the whole bar scene, the best ones weren't from here. You know what I'm saying? The best ones, they were not used to this. They were from other parts of the country, other parts of the world, and they kind of understood what this was. You know what I'm saying? What a bartender is. They're community members trying to get people to just communicate and to connect and all that fun stuff. And like I said, when I went to all these different places, I saw that. Now that was not a common thing here in Cleveland, unfortunately, but it will be. It truly will be, because America, at the end of the day, is the land of opportunity, and there is a lot of opportunity here in Cleveland. There's going to be a lot more here coming soon, because there's going to be a huge power vacuum coming up, since a lot of people here don't want to do this anymore. A lot of people who are in the positions of power, they clearly don't want to do this. And I don't blame them. I do not blame them. Hanging on to this shit is not fun, and they're definitely taking themselves out one at a time, digging their own graves. I'm like, that's what you need to do. I'm not going to stop you, but you're not going to stop us either. But just going from place to place, just making friends. I was in Montreal, I made some friends. In Barcelona, I made some friends. And I'm blanking on Seattle, I made some friends. Like, everywhere I went, I made friends effortlessly. You know what I'm saying? I always attracted those types of people, because that was the type of energy that I was on. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy for me to do that. And here in Cleveland, I even made a lot of friends, that I'm cool with. But the difference here is that a lot of these people couldn't be friends with me openly, because of how people felt about me. Even though I know everyone loves me, it's just how people show love here in Cleveland can be very cruel, and it's definitely not one. At least I didn't want that. So it's the foundation for all this is here, and I saw what this place could be. Even though I wanted to be there longer, I truly wanted to be. I only wanted to be in Maui for a year or two. I wasn't going to try to be there for more than that. I knew that wasn't in the cards. You know what I'm saying? I accepted that. Same thing with Charlotte. I knew I wasn't going to be there forever. Even though it's an up-and-coming city, I know it wasn't for me. But Montreal would have been cool. And I kind of do want to keep going back over there. That's a dope-ass city. That's something. The three places I would recommend would be Seattle, Montreal, and Barcelona. Those three places are one of a kind. Truly are one of a kind. Next time I go to Seattle, hopefully next year, I'll also take a trip to Vancouver. I heard that place is pretty dope as well. But just being in non-miserable cities, you know what I'm saying? Being in places where people there, like I said, they're very intact with what's going on. They're very community driven, and they didn't forget the plot. They know what this is. They know what this is about, and they know that being self-serving and miserable is not going to get you very far in life. So I definitely appreciate those places that I visited. And I know I wanted to stay there for longer, but as the saying goes, everybody wants what they can't have. And I could not have that. And I'm glad that I went through those experiences of trying to make that happen and ultimately failing if I didn't fail. I did what things happen for a reason. And I'm glad that I did that, because it shaped what my role is now. Which I always kind of wanted to do was, I have to stay here. This has to be my home. This is my home. Like literally, this is like culturally, like spiritually, naturally wise. This place is always calling to me. I've always considered Cleveland my home. I always loved Cleveland. I never pretended not to. You know what I'm saying? I always loved the sports teams. I always loved the people that were from here. I've always loved Cleveland. I've never. Cleveland was always a place that I had nothing but love for. But I also knew that there was more out there. I knew that this place didn't have all the answers. I know there are places out there that are really doing things a lot differently than what things are happening here, and I had to go and find those places and see them for myself. Seeing is believing, and trust me, you will definitely believe once you go out of your comfort zone and see things for what they truly are, and not for what you want them to be, you know. But just going to Barcelona and seeing that, and I just want to bring that here, bring that energy here, bring that Montreal energy here, bring that Seattle energy here. I would love to turn Cleveland into Seattle. We do have a lot of very talented artists as well, musicians, painters, sculptors, all that stuff. We have that here. We just don't have the infrastructure to keep these people here, and even the standard of living isn't that high here, so people can afford to live here. It's just there's just so much chaos, so much bullying, so much self-hatred, so many people that just kind of want to conform and just keep people down and just keep people where they're at, and it needs to stop, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I understand people are throwing temper tantrums and all that stuff, and I get it, but at the same time, it's like, what I'm doing is right. What I'm doing is right. Every single day I'm receiving my blessings. Once that stops, I'll stop. I said that before. But once my blessings slow down and once my blessings dry up, I'll stop doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, you know what? I need to pivot and do something else, because clearly this isn't working. But that hasn't happened. My blessings happen every single day, and they're going to continue to happen because I am right now in this current timeline very, very in line with the person that I need to be, that I've been working on very diligently on, for my entire life, but more so consciously these past 3 to 4 years, really putting in a lot of consciously putting in that work that needed to be done so I can show up for this moment. I kind of wanted to have this, do this what I'm doing now earlier, but I wasn't ready. I needed to kind of, like I was saying earlier, like do my in a previous video, do like my hero's journey, I guess. Leave, go other places, do other things, be around other different people. The other thing I was thinking about was Pittsburgh. I was in Pittsburgh for about a year, Monaca to be exact, and that was very, very dope, very, very cool to be down there and be with other people. We were all kind of implants. We were all coming from different parts of the country, people, different parts of the world, and it was very, very fun. It was very, very cool. I miss those guys a lot. I made a lot of friends down there, even though people sabotaged it as they tend to do. But it's something that I appreciate a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that I needed to do, not something I necessarily wanted to do, but we all have to do what we need at the end of the day to truly be who we need to be, and then to show up for the people who we care about. And that was kind of like my path that I needed to go. I needed to kind of make an attempt to do other things and kind of change my perspective. You know what I'm saying? Not see those things as failures of me trying to leave, but see those things as me being there and getting what I needed for the amount of time that I knew that I needed to be there. The amount of time that I was in those places was the amount of time I needed to be there to get the information that I needed to continue down this path, to continue down this road. And now that that's coming all to like a crescendo right now, I'm very, very, very thankful for those opportunities and those experiences, because it made me who I am today. Gave me the clarity that I needed to be like, this is kind of what I need to do, this is where I need to go, this is kind of who I need to be, and just move on from there. So, to wrap up this Yap Shed, I would definitely try to tell people to get outside your comfort zone. I know a lot of people who have never even been outside their hometown or their home state. This is the best time to do it. You know what I'm saying? To really get a different perspective about how things are being done. Be around different people. You know what I'm saying? Try different things. Definitely tap into that curiosity. People say curiosity kills the cat. Block that shit out and truly like be out there and be like, what's out here? Truly, like what's truly out here? What's going on? Because that's the only way you learn. That's the only way that you really see things for what they are and not for what you want it to be. So that's a little bit more. You know, I'll probably in future videos kind of go more in depth about each of those trips, because I have a lot to say about them, and a lot of cool experiences, a lot of cool people, a lot of a lot of experiences over there. You know, I'll leave it at that. But they were fun. They were definitely learning. I learned a lot from them, for sure. I met a lot of cool ass, dope ass people. But yeah, that just kind of explains a lot of what I'm doing and where I'm at, because of what I've seen. You know, I've seen differently. Truly, I've seen differently, and I know what is possible because of, you know, the different people, the different experiences, the different types of love that I've experienced and seen. Kind of moves me and brings me forward in life, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Is keeping this whole thing going and not forgetting the plot, like I said, and taking what life gives you, and if you don't really understand it from what it is right there, kind of change your perspective and shift. You know, look at it from this angle, look at it from this angle. You know what I'm saying? You might actually get what you need from there. So that's one of the main takeaways I got from all those trips, was I just needed to see differently. So when I have the opportunity to make the changes that I want to see, I can actually kind of go off of that and be like, hey, I went through this, I saw that, and I have actually some skin in the game, and to truly make this, manifest this, and build a better new world that we're all literally dying to see. So we're definitely on that path. So that's the end of this little yap just want to kind of get those thoughts. I was thinking about this a lot this past couple of days, about the trips and why I made them, and why I did what I did, and kind of making sense of what this is, because it's definitely needed to kind of reflect, self-reflect, get that good knowledge, so you can continue doing what you're doing, and you know, keep this whole thing going. So that's it. I might have another video today. I might make another video. I won't upload it maybe until later on this week or next week. But yeah, y'all keep it going. I appreciate y'all.